Big J, Sunday night. So Sunday in general, Sunday footy, only 3 games, a lot less than the Saturday one.
Yeah. I know you went and watched one, and we're going to come and hear about how Essendon did this game. So let's start off with the first game, Joe.
Yeah, 100%. We'll leave the best to second last. We'll start with the Sydney versus Hawthorn game, which I'm pretty sure everyone saw coming. Stevie Wonder could see it happening from a mile away. It was never in doubt. I'm surprised the odds in that game had Sydney at like $1.06. I thought they'd be $1.01, to be honest. The odds of them winning probably the same as the odds of the sun rising the next day, the way I saw it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A few more commentators have jumped on the bandwagon that the Hawks are really tanking. And I know with Melbourne a few years ago that they actually got in real trouble and lost kind of that number 1 pick. If Hawks keep playing the way that they're playing and playing players out of position and doing what they're doing, resting ruckman and things like that, who necessarily might not be injured, they could have some real trouble there, Joe. The AFL might say, hey, you're putting the game into disrepute. Stop being a free win, and we'll see you later. You guys can have pick 10. I really feel like this is kind of my hot take. It's going to happen if they keep doing things like this and they just keep getting smashed. They culled the list, and now they're not even. It's turning into North, right? If I was one of their fans, why would you even bother?
It was clear as day right from the get-go when they culled all of their senior players. It was clear that there was a massive wipeout. The Sam Mitchell wants a brand new team, everybody young. They're the youngest by a long shot in terms of the experience of games played per player on average. And it was always going to be difficult. And if it's already difficult now, you can imagine how bad it's going to be after halfway through the season where young teams really just collapse and aren't able to run out the full year. I don't know how many times we've seen it with Gold Coast over the years in terms of they start promising and then they just run out of gas. If they're getting pummeled by 80 points, freaking by Essendon by 60 points right from the get-go, oh man, we're going to be seeing 100-point losses a lot come the end of the year. And I do hope that if they don't win a game this year, that they don't get the number 1 pick. It's just because it's clear as day that they've targeted number 1 and they're going to get some short-term pain, a lot of it, for long-term gain. And I'm not a big fan of sort of taking advantage of that system. It's up to Sam Mitchell, how well he can sort of eloquently persuade the AFL that, no, this is all natural. We intend to win. We're trying to win. Good luck to you, mate.
Is Jeff still there to try and win them over?
No, I don't know. I think Jeff is going to be heading out because you can see, it's one player over 100 compared to the Swans, but if you look, there's quite a few 99s here, 98s. So
that's true.
They seem to be spreading the load in terms of the performers out there. Dylan Moore, one of their best players. He's the one that cracked the ton. 8 marks with 23 disposals, 1 goal, 1. So that's quite a great return for him. But when you look at how much his price stat, you wouldn't go near him. Newcomb, 99. We know the Duke. The Duke is well and truly looking to cement himself as one of the best contested ball players in the comp. He had 9. Sicily, a 99. That is very disappointing for his price and what we all thought that he was going to go. We thought he was going to go 110 plus easy for sure this game, but that didn't happen. The Warpedo, look, he seems to be shoring up to be one of those mid prices that you simply have to have. He's got a 97 and 99. He's going to have a very low break even, and he's got the role. 22 disposals for Warple, with 3 free kicks for and a goal. So if he can keep pumping this out, he's going to have him.
This guy doesn't have him. You know who has him? You. But
yes,
that's another story.
That's another story.
Moving down the list. So Cam McKenzie's probably the last one there that's really relevant. Few players above him who did well last year, like your CJs, Kazitsky's, Connor McDonald's, but Cam McKenzie, he's probably and he's played 2 games, so a bad game alongside his good game. Hopefully doesn't tank his cash gen too much, but what's a midfielder going to do against Sydney? Like, come on. Sydney's too strong, man. Callum Mills playing in the middle, dominating. Joel Amadi. I think you flagged it last week, or at least in the preseason game, Joe, about how when Buddy's out, Amadi comes in and looks really good. So
Yeah,
they love it there. Errol Goulden, apparently he had a knee injury, still played and scored a 107, those fake tweets that were coming out. Nick Blakey, 103. Jake Lloyd, I think that's 2 scores of 100, so it's doing really well for him. And Ollie Florent, 107. Anyone else who's relevant there?
There's no one really relevant for the Swans, but I think the biggest concern, though, back to Cam McKenzie, was that he started off half forward. He really had a lot less CBAs this week compared to the previous week, and I'm only hoping that is simply just to shelter him against the really strong Sydney midfield playing at the SCG. So I'm hoping and I'm really praying, because I brought Cam McKenzie in this week. I'm hoping that he can get those CBAs that he had initially, because he is a jet. Last week he was their best mid. So fingers crossed it was just precaution.
It's the tank, mate. It's the tank. They've gone full World War II and they brought the tanks in, and then that's it. So, exactly. We'll see what happens there.
So that was the Sydney Hawthorn game. We come to this beautiful game.
Here we go,
ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This was the game.
I mentioned it in my team review, but kind of go over who were you watching the game with, Joe? What kind of happened there? You watched it live, right?
Yes, went live, went in person. It was an excellent game. Met up with George from Fantasy Tech TV, met up with JD from Fantasy Tech TV, met up with Spills from Spills Supercoach, met up with Steve from SDS Supercoach as well. Swizz from the Supercoaching side was there. Didn't end up actually bumping into him. There was quite a few people at that game. Weren't able to meet up with him. There was a bunch of people there. So it was an excellent game. It was so much fun to watch. And I was the only one that had the goats. I was the only one with set of goats. I did their heads in, mate. They were complaining that George couldn't take it anymore. He's like, enough, please, enough. No more about Centerfield. JD's grandchildren are going to be born. Their first words are going to be Centre Goats. It is what it is. It was a great game. Great day.
Yeah. As a non-owner as well, it just sucks. Like, this year's definitely been dominated by the mid prices across basically every line. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people that didn't have the ones that scored really well. Other people did, like yourself. So congratulations there. Darcy Parish, another big game. So I think last week he had like a 90 or an 80. So bouncing back from that. Zach Merritt, similar stories as well. Redman, 110. Dylan Schill, 109. Kyle Langford. Kind of moving down this list a little bit though, Joe. Tell us what happened to Jordan Ridley, and should we be worried?
Yeah, poor Jordana Ridley. I got Rids.
Me too.
Look, he looked good. I'm not going to lie, but there were alarm bells early on because we had the late out to Sam Wiedemann. Wiedemann came out, and we ended up having Massimo D'Ambrosio was a late in. And as soon as we saw that Massimo was in, it's like, oh boy, we've got another half backer that is good by foot, and you can see it. 72% disposal efficiency. So it was really nerve-wracking in terms of, all right, we've got an extra mouth to feed in terms of the ball coming out of the back line. And Redmond loves to play at Marvel Stadium. He loves that dimension of the ground, and we saw it. He went 110. This guy's a sneaky shout-out because we played quite a few games at Marvel Stadium in the back half of the year, I think. So, man, Mason Redmond, I told you in the offseason and last year, Mason's going to be on my side, and he will be. At some point, Mason will be in my team. But with Ridley, he dropped a lot of marks that he normally would have taken. That was just the side in general. The side was Essendon was dropping a lot of marks, and he was one of them. And unfortunately, it seemed like he lost confidence in that, and he didn't even try taking marks anymore. Later in the game, he was just immediately resorting to spoiling and fisting the ball away, just killing the contest, as opposed to trying to mark it. So it's not good that you have a primo losing confidence in their marking ability, but I'm still going to hold him. Don't trade him out because he's got 2 very favorable matchups to come, and it will be great for his confidence. I have no doubt he's going to bounce back. He's got the Saints. He's got Anthony's boys, and I think he will score really well. Keep the faith with Rids.
I think as well, he doesn't have his he doesn't have his normal kind of meters gained. I think last week he was like 700 or 800, and then now he's got 281. So kind of like you say, gives a bit of that look there. Moving down the list, Alwyn Davey Jr.'s done all right for himself, got a negative break even, which is good. Not as good as a couple of these West Coast players that we'll talk about next, but yeah, the guys that do have him wouldn't complain there. Jai Menzies had a decent game as well. Moving over to Gold Coast, man. Jared Witts. If you had started Witts in English, you'd be laughing. 36 hitouts, dominated Draper, got a goal. I looked at the score sheet kind of heading into the third quarter. I'm like, Witts is only on 40. Yeah. Sean Darcy didn't do so well, but Witts owners are going to get sucked in as well. No. Just Witts went forward, scored a goal. I'm like, come on, guys. Another crappy game for Tuke Miller. So he's one that's really going to tank in price because he's had I think he had a game of a 90-odd the week before and then a 106. So pick him up when he starts dropping in price. He's going to be a top 8, top 10. Just kind of a sucky first season. Maybe he's still dealing with these hamstring problems. But you look at that meters gained. He must have tried to take that game on his back. Moving down the list, there's not really anyone else who's super relevant, Supercoach-wise. Ben King had a much better game than what was the first game, round one. Charlie Constable, similar score again. So didn't shank it as much, but when he's towing a half-back role, his Supercoach score should be higher than his dream team. So must have done a couple of turnovers that really hurt there. And then Bodie Uwan. So sucks if you're one of the people that picked him up as well. Flanders 46, Joe. He's out of my team. I don't know if you have him in your
No, I don't.
Like 63. He's done a Tanner Bruin and done 63% time on ground.
Yeah, that's no good. It's no bueno. So yeah, Gold Coast. Look, I think out of all these players that we've mentioned on the Gold Coast side, the one that really intrigued me is Matt Rao. Matt Rao at that game, my word, absolute beast. 10 clearances, like 13 contested. Like he was such a bull for them. Even though we added Setago, who had 13 contested possessions of his own, man, we needed him. If it wasn't for Setterfield's existence, Rao legit would have torn us a new one. He was so good, and for his price, the thing holding him back was he had no outside game whatsoever. But he looks like he's really improved on that this year, and this might be our last chance to get him in. I think in most situations you would get him in probably, but there are just some people that are just really higher up on your priority list, and Setters has to be up there. A score of a 99 and a 147. He's got a ridiculously low break even. Yeah. And he's got without steal.
I can't afford him, but those people that have got him in their team, congrats to you guys. Congrats to Joe.
Thank you.
Doing really well.
We'll move on to the final game of the week. They've ended up finishing quite late between the Eagles and the Giants. And my word, the Giants did not play like Giants.
No. They did all right the first game. Like round one, okay, they did well. This game, they really struggled. So we'll talk about Callahan in a little bit, but Stephen Canelio cannot do everything in that team. He needs people with them. And we saw kind of the effect that losing Hopper and losing Taranto had on that team. They had Whitfield out, they had Kelly out, they had Perryman out.
Yeah.
All these randos like Connor Stone, all these other players who they brought in. Yes, they're AFL listed players, but they're not the depth. They do not have depth anymore, GWS. And saw it today. Really, really saw it in this game. They just got smacked around. They just got beaten basically everywhere. You had guys scoring 4 goals, 2 in Toby Green, 3 goals, 4 in Jesse Hogan. It just wasn't enough, Joe. Looking at this list, Matt Flynn, I think he's had 2 decent games. I don't think anyone's really picked him as a Supercoach option. Cogs, I brought him in, 107. You'll take that in a game like this. Tom Green, 106. And then you kind of move down the list. Toby Green, hopefully he's not going to continue on with kind of the trend he had last year about going big and then tapering off. That just might be GWS this year. Anyone else who from GWS you're looking at?
Yeah, Finn Callahan, I had him and then decided, you know what, I don't want to. I'm already concerned enough as it is playing someone who has had recent history of injury, let alone someone who's currently playing with an injury. So I ended up actually not going through with the Callahan trade, and I ended up getting Cam McKenzie instead, who actually outscored him. Who's got a 54, so I netted more points that way, netted more money. And Finn Callahan, my word, he looked cooked. He had a foot problem, then he's got a shoulder problem. The guy is running off just pure heart at this point. 100% power of will. What was it? 5% luck, 20% skill. I forgot how that song goes.
90s flashback there.
Yeah, but this is 100% heart for
that's
Finn
when
Callahan
was born back in the 90s. That's how young this kid is.
Yeah, no, he did well. He did well, I think, considering his injuries. 433 meters gained. You know what I mean? Like, you can see the guy kept putting in the hard yards. We thought he was dead. We were, after our game, the Essendon game, we ended up getting some dinner, and they were playing the GWS game. We saw the incident, and my word, everybody there who was a Finn Callahan owner, they couldn't watch. They couldn't watch. So fingers crossed he's able to keep playing. He's able to get back. But they're going to get the support this week. Perryman should be back. Whitfield hopefully should be back. And Kelly would also have finished his concussion protocol.
Yeah, you'd hope so. There was a tweet that came out today saying, Kingsley's looking at them. They're tracking okay, but just have to kind of get through the week. The 12 days is only a precaution. They do have to meet certain measures throughout that time. So, they could come back this week. The dates look up, but, maybe not. Heading over to West Coast, I thought they were going to lose this game. Congrats to them for doing so well. They stepped up. The first kind of half was GWS, and then after halftime, Eagles just went, nah, not happening. See you later. So big game from Tim Kelly. Another game from Jeremy McGovern over 100. I know he was almost talked about he's not even going to play this game. Jake Waterman kind of carried that forward line for them. Moving down the list, Jaden Hunt, 270K is pretty good right there. Liam Ryan, he's kind of the one that he takes a lot of focus, I think, from opposition defenders. And when he does really well, he's that threat. You just can't stop him. You stop Liam Ryan because you have to double team him. Guys like Jake Waterman just go bang. Jermaine Jones, similar as well. Really nice score there. Moving down this list. So Jimby, fantastic. I'm glad I put him on field. Really strong player there. One player who looks like a fantastic cash cow that not many people have is Noah Long. Tell us about Noah Long, Joe. I know he's in your team.
I have Noah Long. Yeah, I got all of them. All the good rookies, bro. I got them. I got them all. Now, Noah Long is I got to shout out Chris, the AFL draft expert, because he is really a draft expert. He was telling me that he really rates Noah Long's job security to the point where he even thinks it was higher than Alvin David Jr.'s. And because he's able to play a number of different roles, he's quite versatile. He doesn't have to play close to goal. He can go up the ground quite a bit as well. And he was playing a forward role, but he's had back-to-back games now where he's scored 60+. And that's really good. One in a loss, one in a win. So it's looking good. He's going to have a low break even. He's got mid-forward DPP. Look, I wouldn't prioritize getting him in this week. If you don't have a guy like Chandler, he's definitely a lot more important to have in. But if you if you already have Chandler somehow, and you've got this Chesser, and you've got subbed out, then you can probably flip him to Noah Long, for example. Because this guy is well and truly out. He was subbed out, and he's going to be traded out from all of our teams, I imagine, right?
Yeah, he's out of my team. I think he became Chandler. Campbell Chesser, man. Like, I said it in the team review, but this guy's been given every opportunity, and he's just not stepping up. Maybe it's the injuries. Maybe it's the confidence. Yeah. Maybe he expected to do a Horn Francis and play on a better team. But, yeah, it's just not great for those owners who kind of started him. We got kind of sucked in because there was no one else, and people were talking about him in the preseason. But Tom Cole's another one as well. 52 is not as good as the 80-odd he had last game, but still playing. So bench option there versus like a Wilmont or someone.
And that brings our discussion of the Sunday games to a close. That was the week that was in round 2. We're not top of the ladder anymore. It is what it is, but we're third. I'll take that. We got the Saints in round 2, and you guys have got the Hawks. You could be 3-0, Big J.
I know. It's almost like the Clarko reunion too. I think there's a lot of hype talking about that game. I believe it's down in Tassie, so
it is.
Yeah, it should be a really, really good game to watch. And yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Very good. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You don't have to worry about the sharing part, but please, liking and subscribing, definitely very nice. Comment leave a comment down below of any teams and any questions that you might have in relation to players that you want to get in. We'll be pumping out the content, so make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of it.
Yeah. And remember, guys, we've got our Supercoach group, so you guys can join. 222976 is the code. So 222976. You can win some amazing prizes there. Here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you don't have to. Bye for now.